Welcome to today's edition of WooNews TV. I'm so excited about today's show. Today, we are going to be talking about animal communication. Our guest, Victoria Glod, is here today, and we also have Zeke, and we have Rosie back there, who may stay for the entire interview, or they may not. But we're going to talk about animal communication, what it is, how it works, how we can better understand our pets, and Victoria's going to share some stories from other clients she's worked with. And also, if we have time, she's going to read this little guy. So welcome, Victoria.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
Tell us, Victoria, what is animal communication?
Animal communication is really a telepathic conversation.
Okay.
So this is when you hone in on your intuitive abilities. And so when we connect with the animals, we receive information in a lot of different ways. So there's something called clear cognizance, which is just knowing something. There is where we see, and animals send pictures. Clairsentient is feelings. So sometimes I'll feel their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, pictures and verbal. I get a lot of verbal from animals.
Do you?
It just comes through, and we have these wonderful conversations. And sometimes what's really interesting is they're really funny. And so sometimes they'll get me laughing. They're also phenomenally in tune with everything.
Well, my friends and I always say, if only our dogs could talk. Evidently, they can't.
The reality is that anyone can do animal communication. You just need an inner desire and guidance.
Really, because I think I would love to be able to communicate with our animals.
Yeah, you would love it.
Sometimes we might not want to know what they're saying, though.
Oh, here's the thing.
They might tell us how crazy we really are.
Actually, they have great wisdom. They have great wisdom. You had mentioned this Zeke sits on your lap when you're stressed. How do you think he knows that? Like they know what we're feeling. And so many animals are here. Sometimes they're here to heal us. Sometimes they're here to teach us, and healers, teachers, and the teaching sometimes, this is really funny. The teaching can be, does your animal do anything that annoys you? Like one time when I had 4 animals, I had 2 birds and 2 cats. I looked at each animal and I said, each one has a quality of mine that I don't particularly like. So it's a way to gain insight and make interchange if we are open to that. And the first thing we need to do, if we really want to attempt a connection, I'll just give you a little example. Get whatever you do to get grounded, get really grounded. Send your roots down into the earth, just get really grounded. And get in a very calm place, maybe clear your chakras. Just get very calm. And then, I always work with my eyes closed. Then, just close your eyes, tune in.
Okay.
Rosie, you're saying this telepathically, right? Not out loud.
This is good.
Rosie, why are you barking? And just sit really still and see what comes. Now, sometimes when people are learning, they'll brush off the information they got because they think it's just silly.
Right.
Let's say Rosie sends you a color. Let's say all of a sudden you see red.
Okay.
You see the color. And then you explore it. did somebody just go by wearing red and that captured, it's hard to know without a conversation.
Right. But it sounds like, so when I teach people how to use their intuition, Victoria, one of the things I suggest is get grounded, ask yourself the yes or no question, and see what the information is you get. The first yes or no you get, the first information you get, and go with that. So it sounds like it's similar with animals. I mean, I could see how we would think we wouldn't be able to read an animal, but it sounds like it's very similar than just understanding your own intuition, and you can do it that easily if you just give it a shot.
I want to share a story with you about Lady Bird, my cockatiel. She's a senior. I don't know her age because she was surrendered, and she had been this breeder bird. So when she came to me, she was like a feral cat, right? If I walked into the room where she was, and she had a male bird, Murphy needed a mate. And if I walked into the room, she would run into the corner. And she has really come around. But what I have discovered in her, this is amazing. She is so resilient because she has been through major traumas and she moves through them quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And she has dropped little pearls of wisdom. So one day I walked into the bathroom, and she does not live in a cage, but she doesn't fly around either. She has a big basket. But one day I walk into the bathroom and she is sitting on the faucet. Never had she done that. And she's been with me like well over 15 years. She had never done that.
Why'd she do that?
And she said to me, as soon as I walked in, it's good to try new things. And I'm like, so she will drop like pearls of wisdom. And what I realized at that time is, like I kind of get in these ruts sometimes. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go to one of these networking meetings. I never really liked networking meetings. When I sort of took off with this, I went with a good friend who was a very gifted psychic. And we would go to these network meetings and we both looked at each other and said, we don't really like these, do we? I don't know. I never seemed to find one that felt like a good fit. That was a lot of years ago. But I said, you're right, Lady Bird. I'm going to go to this networking meeting. And I did. And I mean, there were parts of it that were okay. And then there were parts of it that weren't what I expected.
Well, maybe trying new things is important just for the sake of trying new things, right?
Totally. Like, I'm really glad I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And just got out of that comfort zone and just did that.
Yet another gift of having animals is the wisdom that they impart on us. And I also, people write about this all the time, about how dogs are so in the moment, or animals in general, they're just completely in the moment. And boy, we all sure need to learn that, don't we? We need to practice that all the time, is being more present and more in the moment.
Totally. Totally. With the energies on the planet these last few years, it's so easy for people to go into fear.
Yes. Yes.
And of course, what helps me with that is just my spiritual, I don't want to call it a program, but my spiritual beliefs and things I've learned over the years, my spiritual practice. And just surrendering and things like that,
Right.
And our animals can help us with that. You've probably heard stories, or I hear this from clients regularly. I go to a shelter and they'll say, this dog just came right to me and jumped in my lap. Mm-hmm. And when I eventually connect with the animal, that was all planned out.
Right. I don't doubt my dogs came to me. It was one of those serendipitous things every time.
It's really
everyone can do is reflect on how that animal came into your life, the dog, the cat, whatever. What was the story behind that? Was it random seemingly? Did you plan it? There's probably more to that story than you realize going on behind the scenes to bring you and that animal together, right, Victoria?
Well, I'll tell you, Sunshine walked into my yard as a homeless kitty, and he looked really scruffy. He was an orange tabby, medium length, very scruffy. He was sitting in the neighbor's yard under this tree a lot. And then this was when cats started showing up at my back door. And I remember one time, so Sunshine was definitely like an alpha. He was a street fighter. He had to do that. He shared with me that he had, it was a male. So he was very skittish around really masculine males with gruff, loud voices. He didn't like that.
Okay.
But if they had a nice, maybe more integrated masculine, feminine energy, he was very comfortable. So he walked into my yard and I would look into his eyes. And one time I'm sitting there, we were in the carport area, and I said, you know, Sunshine, you would be such a different kitty. I always call them kitties. If you had someone to just love on you. And I would look in his eyes and I realized that there was something familiar, and somehow I knew him. And he did tell me that he got abandoned and he got kicked around by a male and all of that. Then one day my neighbor had walked over and he said, who is that cat? I said, oh, that's Sunshine. Sunshine was groomed. He was beautiful. He hadn't moved into my place yet, but he had a home, and I loved him. Mm-hmm. And the really sad part about that is there was another male cat, and they were both alphas, and they got in these nasty fights. Mm-hmm. And you know, you can't break up a cat fight.
Right.
Very dangerous. And anyway, as it turned out, Sunshine moved in and I learned more and more about him. But my friend, who was so intuitive, is the one who told me that Sunshine had taken that on.
Wow.
And that's when I said those words to him.
Can you tell us a few more stories of different experiences you've had with when working with other people's pets?
Here's one that I really love. So this girl, she'd been a client of mine for a number of times. We actually met at a big psychic fair years ago. And I also do spiritual response therapy clearings. They're amazing, soul clearings. And so I've done that with her, and I've done animal communication. And so when she went to adopt a kitty, I love that she did this because she found out that these two kitties in the shelter had become really close, and she didn't want to separate them. You know, then you're adding more trauma to these animals that have been traumatized, abandoned, right? So I love that she took both kitties. One of the cats, her elderly parents were also living with her. And one of the cats, you know, he'd be really affectionate, and then all of a sudden he'd scratch out and draw all this blood.
Oh.
Okay. So I connected with the cat, and I cannot even tell you what the issue was, but I'm going to tell you what I recommended. So I recommended some flower essences that I initially took a class about them, worked with them, recommended them for all kinds of issues like aggression, fear, whatever. There was like a 70% improvement. In the meantime, I had come across a different company that was actually located in Tucson. As soon as I got on their website, I could feel they were high vibrational. Did you ever have that experience? And they had a whole section for pets and getting to the core issue. And so I recommended that she go online, and there were two that I felt would be good. She ordered them. I did a follow-up. She said, he is like a totally different cat. It's like he has become his very best version. He became the greeter. He became loving. And when she would go into the kitchen to get the bottles and their glass, right? He would hear them. He would come into the kitchen to
Waiting
get
flower essence.
flower essences. Yeah.
That's great.
They are amazing. They have helped a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in that.
One of the things that, you know, the whole purpose of this WooNews TV venture here is to tie things, everyday life into spirituality. And I believe that having animals in our life helps lift our vibration. It keeps us grounded because we're always looking at the ground. We're sitting on the ground playing with them. They keep us grounded. They also lift our vibration because they make us laugh. They bring us unconditional love. They teach us unconditional love, how to receive it as well as give it, and which lifts our vibration and brings us closer to that vibration of God's source creator. Well, Victoria, winding down with time, do you have time to do a quick little reading on Zeke?
I would love to. You know what? I pulled up, believe it or not, I put Zeke's, because I like to look at their little faces.
And just to clarify, Zeke is a little white dog that was here earlier. He's scurried out of the room, but it's the little white dog she's reading, not the red one behind me. You can't see that. Hold it up a little more.
Oh, that's my camera, and that's Zeke.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw this beautiful picture. And so let me tune into Zeke.
All right.
Because I haven't done this yet. Let me just tune in.
Okay.
I know you said he was very playful, so he just did something really adorable. He said, "I am so loved." And then he showed me an image. Sometimes they do this. Okay. So I don't even know how to show it to you. So like, let's picture a little child that's just, you know, loving and playful and silly. And so they have their hand on their hip and they say something, you know, like, "I am just so loved." And they do this cute little thing. That's what Zeke did. And I find that animals do, and he's playful.
Very. He's
I
not
mean, I can,
so very playful.
like, if I met him, I loved him as soon as I saw his picture, because all of that comes through. Okay, so, okay, he's got something else. Okay, show me the light. Okay, so you had this life together and you were living, let's see, you're a male living in this wilderness, and there is a beautiful, I don't know if it would be a creek, this body of water back there. It's fairly remote. And now he's saying with a lot of pride, he said, I was Dad's protector. And he said, and he said, and I was really good at it. And believe it or not, I chased away a wolf. Could you see him doing that?
He's a very cocky little dog. He struts around. He does not know he's only 10 pounds. Rosie thinks she's a small dog and Zeke thinks he's a big dog.
Well, that's what's so cool about him. And in this life, he's like your protector. And those traits are part of him, you know, in this other life also, because he was just so proud of how he protected you and helped keep you safe. Yeah. And I can just, he did that. It's not ego. It's like a touch of pride in a really nice way.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I did for Dad. And he's telling me again, he wasn't a cute little fluffy dog then. He was a big, and he was so happy to be in that role, you know. And he's so now he's saying something else. He's saying, now I just get to come in and be cute.
Well, I have to tell you, 30 seconds ago, he came into the room again, and now he's scurrying around the floor by my feet, pushing around a little ball, wanting me to pick it up and throw it. Now he's being all, now he just came back in the room and he's being all cute with his ball. Aren't you, Betty? He's staring at me like, Mom, come on, let's throw the ball.
See, like this life, he gets to play. That in that other life, it was more intense,
right?
You know, but lots of love and so much love from the father, his pet parent, right? Yeah.
Oh,
So,
thank you. Thank you so much for that. Well, thank you so much for your time, Victoria. This was really fun.
You are so welcome.
And Zeke thanks you, and Rosie was happy to meet you.
Rosie is just so grounded, isn't she?
She internalizes a lot of things too, but she's hilarious. She sits up like a human on her fanny and just sits up and looks at you. It's hysterical. She has the funniest expressions, this dog.
Oh, she's precious.
Yeah. She's really good with kids too. That breed is known for being really good with kids.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Zeke barks at kids. So.
Oh my gosh, this has been great.
Thank you again, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
We'll see you on another show in the future. Thank you so much.